how your sound comes out as well.
Yes, that'll be great. Okay, if you just check, I think we're in.
Oi, I'm presuming you're in.
Let me just, in fact, I'll do this. I'll just turn it round, then I can see more clearly.
Are you going to be distracted, love?
No, just to check that we're in, because otherwise...
We're in.
Okay,
We're in. Yeah.
A little bit in, yeah.
That's great.
Perfect. Paul and Joe Marsh, nice to see you both again.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Nice
much.
to be here.
Absolutely, and we've been promising the women in overlanding segment, and here we are with lovely Joe Marsh, Paul's new wife. How's it going?
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you.
Absolutely, a lot to get into. A lot of women get sort of, a lot of wives new into overlanding. What sort of advice would you give to people?
I think first off, women should see it as an adventure and not something that they're doing with their husbands. It's a new way of experiencing the world and experiencing life, because women very often are caught up in the domesticity, and a lot of them are corporate, working, then you come home and you're working because it's kids and home and cooking and all of that stuff. But it's a way to unplug, disconnect from the world of to-dos and all the lists and all the obligations and responsibilities, and to plug back into each other, I suppose literally and figuratively, I don't know.
It happens.
It happens. Luckiness for the boys. But it's a way of both unplugging from technology and life. It's a way of connecting back to each other, discovering different things about each other, and maybe bringing more out in each other. It's more than just the trip. The trip is the vehicle to connect with yourself through nature. So you connect back into yourself, you just slow down, because the world out there when you're on overland expedition does slow down, and connect in a different way. You find different interests, and you actually find your way back to yourself and to each other. And it's restorative, it's rejuvenating, it builds different memories, and it just builds such a strong bond that when you come back to the madness, you've got that to hold on to, because now you're planning the next one, because you know you in that bubble that we create when we're out there. It's that safe, happy place, and that keeps you charged when you come back here, when your body parts are like spread all over the place, because everybody needs a different part of you. But you hold on, because you think, how do I get back to the bubble? We plan the next one. And that kind of keeps you sane, keeps you balanced, keeps you happy, because you've got that thing that keeps you together, when life here keeps you out there. Out there, when you're out there, it keeps you back in here, if I'm making any sense.
And can we start at the beginning, please? How did you meet Paul? And let's start about your love for overlanding.
Yes, share the truth.
So, Paul and I met over 10 years ago, mutual friends. We were both married at the time, and Paul was living in the UK and I was living here. But we just found a connection through nature, overland, and I think spiritual way of being, and the
Just
quality
a
of
connection
life.
between us, really. I think, sometimes you meet people and you know when you meet them that you're almost like you've been before, if you want to accept that. And although Joe and I respected we were both married, and that we were never going to cross those boundaries, but the value in knowing that you've met a soulmate, you've heard that term before, and I think I met my soulmate 10 years ago.
And there was so we were friends, and we just knew that Paul was on another continent, we both were committed to our relationships, but there was a friendship, and the friendship carried us through all the years of what we both experienced, gladly and sadly. And ultimately we had to learn a whole bunch about ourselves and life, and the connection was never lost, and through the highs and lows of both our separate lives. And then when Paul came back to Cape Town, again the friendship just continued, and then I walked away from my relationship, and then a while later, about a year later, Paul walked away from his, and But the friendship was what that was our foundation.
Things flow, I always believe in life. When something's flowing, it really goes and you feel it. And when you know you've met someone in your life that's significant, and then the synchronicity of everything sort of happening to allow your lives to sort of move forward together, it's amazing. It's like what happens in nature. We don't quite go back to nature always to learn the lessons we should, but certainly we knew that the life we could have and wanted to have was now available to us. And we grabbed it with both hands and said, well, why not?
And it was just incredible. It was like the universe was speaking, because we started our relationship formally as a couple, and literally things just fell into place. And before I knew it, I was in Cape Town. I've always wanted to live at the sea, so double bonus. And my passion was to get to know Paul's world. I knew Paul here, but I wanted to know his world. So when I'm not just in 10%, 50%, 150%, 200%. So right, let's go on a rally, let's go on. So I just jumped in and wanted to go and experience all these things, because that's part of knowing him and how I can be that other better half for him.
But also Joe's own story is deep in nature, and you've worked with amazing programs with wild animals. And I'm going to share a bit about that, because Joe has a passion for the wildlife. I guess that's one of the values we share. And I think we really realized that our values were synchronized in a way which has allowed us to build a beautiful foundation and a very strong relationship. And your background in what Joe's done, not just the work she does, but who she is and what the experience is.
So animals have been my go-to place from little, starting with dogs, but nature, being outside, being in the sunshine, being at the ocean has been my soul food. I just come alive when I'm at the ocean. So dolphins have always been my happy place, and I've swum with dolphins around the world. Very blessed to be able to, and Angie Gullen is somebody I know personally in Mozambique, who is the mother of dolphins in Pontedora, and there's an amazing story there. And she was my entree. And then I've swum with them in the Bahamas at a yoga dolphin retreat. And I've been into some of the rescue centers, and they're supreme beings. So that, and then I've spent my whole career is a bit eclectic, till where it brought me now. And then when I was working at CC Africa, which is called And Beyond now, and when the Vatis brought the tigers out from Canada to start the breeding program because they were becoming extinct, I had the privilege of experiencing that. So nature is very close to my heart, and that's obviously another thing that keeps,
Well, I think it's about sharing. It's about sharing with people, and many of the clients that I get to meet, and I meet the couple, and it's as important that both people feel ready to go on the expedition. It's a team effort, and Joe and I live that. We've done expeditions together. We've driven up to Tanzania. We've driven on many expeditions together, and because of Joe's work in the people world and what she does and understands, and the work she's done, and you just need to go and look on her website at joemarsh.coza and just have a look-see at what this amazing woman has done in her life to bring value to people in her own way in work. And I've looked at that and thought, well, there's such value in overland expedition travel. It's not just about the vehicle. I'm very clear about that. It's about a value system. It's about us changing the way we do things. It's about highlighting what we can take our families and an experience. So when it's families you're dealing with, people want to share that experience. And in all the work that we all do, we are very distracted in our work, and our energy is pulled all over the place. So to be able to take your time and your energy and go back and immerse yourself in nature, and be able to go and spend that quality time where you are not distracted and you can sit down and have a good, meaningful conversation. And when we share that, and I share it, and Joe speaks and works with her clients, it's about taking people back on that inner journey through an outdoor experience.
So it's about the truck. That's
a great strap on the inner journey through the outdoor experience.
Yeah, we're very passionate about that.
And where we then built, because we in our vision, we've got this triangle, and it's about, it all starts with the truck. So people say, Paul Marsh, the guru, which he is, build me a truck. Okay. So then the truck's taking you where? Okay, then there's the trip. And then in our journey together, I said to Paul, but what about what memory do they want? So the boys come in with a truck and a trip, and then the wife, and Paul says, no, the wife in on the deal, because you want to support, she needs to enjoy it, because she can either hold you back or take you forward. So then it's about building the memory, and how do you do that? So now you bring them both together, and it's about encouraging the two to understand the benefit that they will reap on so many levels. It's enriching on so many levels.
And
It's
understanding
taking the fear factor out.
concerns. Hey, yeah, exactly that. So for most people, there's a concern, and one of my questions I like to ask people, both the husband and wife, or whatever the couple is, and ask them clearly, what are your concerns? What's going to stop you from doing this? Or what would you need to enhance, be it through more information, be it through more training, to build that confidence so that you feel absolutely confident to go out and tackle this experience in a way that works for you.
But it's not only at a practical level, because some women will say, go to the loo in the bush?
That's the first thing Paul said.
Well, I mean, you've got to hold me back not to go in the bush.
Oh gosh.
So,
yeah.
So there's the very practical part, and that's easy, and Paul does that so well. What has interested me is, okay, so you live together in a house, you've got kids, and you live with each other, past each other, around each other. Now you can find into this space for an extended period of time. What do you talk about? What do you agree on? What do you disagree on? What are your expectations? What are your hopes? What are your dreams? What are your fears? Get into the trenches. Do the thing, because that's where the memories are. And it's like, got to know this. Wow, you can almost fall in love with each other all over again.
And it does. It's like another chapter. And I say to people are either coming to retire, or they're taking some valuable time out of their lives to go and do something. It might be a 2-week trip. It might be much longer. And when you're investing that time and that energy into something, you really want to return. And the return needs to be more than getting in your car and driving it. That has value. Seeing what you see has value. But if you can add a value, a dimension to that value, where the two of you, or the family, or the group, come away with a unique experience, and you capture that experience for the memories, money can't add value to that. You can't put enough money on the table to buy that experience.
It's about a mindful trip in a meaningful way that gathers memories.
It seems to be all about memories. You cannot put a price on good memories.
No, but what do we live for? I think when we look back on COVID-19 and how it's actually focused us to look more at ourselves, to look more at our situations, to look more at our environment, we're going to go away looking at how we focus on our own lives differently. One of the ways to focus on your own lives differently, take that experience as being able to get out. Now, we've been restricted from getting out. So people now, as we're opening up slowly, it's been amazing, because now the borders between the provinces are not yet open, and hopefully they'll open soon. So people are now being allowed to travel within their area. Explore around you. Explore your own backyard. Now explore in your own country. And now you can start exploring further. But in doing so, we're exploring ourselves as well, hey?
And take the whole COVID circus as an opportunity to reset. Not focusing on it, because it's done. There's nothing we can control about that, but what are we going to do with it? And that's one of our philosophies, is we don't dwell on what is and what was. It's about what's there to learn from that. And what's to learn is reset, reevaluate. What's important? what do we want to do with what we now know? What do we want more of? What do we want less of? And what do we want no more of? Who do you want to be with? Who do you not want to be with?
Was it difficult for you when you first met, when you kind of in the back of your mind you're meeting your soulmate, but you're still committed in another relationship?
We weren't in the other relationships when we met. So, when we first met up.
When
the first.
When you're just buddies.
No, because I think we were very clear about, we didn't see each other often. I mean,
because we were different continents.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, we basically, I think if I came back, I'd have a coffee with Jo and wish her happy birthday, and she'd do the same for me, and that would be maybe once a year. So it's not like we kept in touch, but we weren't. It was, when you've had a connection with someone, but at the same time, you know that your paths aren't there to cross and may never be there to cross. It's kind of situation, and as we want to say it, the universe allowed us to live our life together, and we now have a very rich, fulfilled life in the way we've chosen to live it. We've made some good, strong decisions, some difficult decisions. We believe in our similar values, and I think that's what's really given us strength in what we do. And I look for people that I connect with, we both do in our work, that have a similar value system, so that the energy we're giving out, when you engage with someone, be it on a formal basis of friendship, even a partnership, if you're giving your energy and your time, and if we have to value our energy and time, it's such a massively important commodity we take for granted. And I think,
that can be easily dwindled and wasted in the wrong areas, the wrong people, and I think it's important for people to understand that the people in your life need to be carefully chosen, and it doesn't mean that the people that are there are wrong or bad, but just be good with yourself first before looking at others to what they are and what they're not, and reevaluate what's good for you. And I think, going back to your question, for me it was, and as Paul said, it wasn't about changing where we were at the time because we suddenly met. That wasn't the factor. But I think when the chips were down, when Paul went through his trauma, that's when I jumped in as the friend. And then when I went through mine, he was there to support me. And then we kind of just carried on as these friends who'd helped each other through really a hard thing. And then I was free, but then I went on to India and I went and did my mindfulness in the US. So I was traveling and doing my thing. And then he'd gone through another oops. And
but you never know how your relationships take you. I mean, it's so interesting because I never planned to be back in South Africa. I was in Australia. And, so life has that amazing way of crossing your paths with significant people. And I think when you when you recognize someone in your life who is there to give you an inspiration or to share an experience or to empower you to do something. I mean, I'm privileged to work with the people that I do, and I know Jo says the same about the people she works with, because we're able to share some of what we have to empower them to do things that they would really want to do and enjoy. And as couples, for people to explore their life in a different way in an overland environment, it's a unique experience. And it doesn't have to be in a four-wheel drive. Sometimes it's on a tandem. Sometimes it's motorbikes, a van. There's lots of options.
But I also think, going back to the thing about where we were in terms of when we met, I think when we look back now also, because there's always divine timing, who we were then would not have been ready to be where we are now.
Timing?
We both needed to go through the University of Hard Knocks to learn a couple of things, to get a bit of a wake up and a shake up. And what I love about, because we both say we are both grateful.
All the lessons you learn.
And I can honestly say, if everything that I've gone through in my 50 odd years is what's brought me here today, where I am, I'm grateful, and I would do the whole lot again. And some of it wasn't pretty, but I would do it all again because this is where I am. And if that's what needed to be, so be it.
And I think, you asked us a question earlier about what it takes to go on expedition as a husband and wife or as friends. And I think, that opportunity which you create, which revolves, let's say, around a 4-wheel drive and it takes you to different places, is a journey. It's a journey. It is that amazing journey. And I think I encourage people to look deep, and we both do. We're very passionate about people living their lives fearlessly free. It's something Jo works on now in the work she does, empowering people to be fearlessly free to live the life they deserve. And it's such an amazing concept. And we've had a breather, we've had a gift right now, which is going to change all our lives, and we're all going to be different from what we've had to experience now with COVID-19 experience. Not all bad. Relationships we've had that haven't worked out, they're not bad, they're not wrong, they're an experience. You just got to be honest enough to choose the experience to say, is it right for me, and is it going to serve me going forward? And if it's not, be honest enough to stand up and say, that's not